Sharon Cooney, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So you took the helm at MTS in a time of real crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic has hurt your ridership, it's hurt your finances. What are your priorities as you try to navigate this really difficult time?
Sure. Well, it's been a challenge, but it's been great being part of such a great team at MTS. We get through it together. I think one of my highest priority is to continue with the excellent level of service that we've provided pre-COVID, to make sure that we continue to be the best transit agency, to continue to reach all of the goals for things like ridership as people come back to work, make sure that we have a really great on-time performance, all of the things that matter to people when they're choosing transit for their commute and their daily lives. That's my highest priority.
What are the biggest barriers to recovery for MTS?
Well, I think the big challenge is making sure that our customers and our employees are safe. I mean, that's a high priority as well. It underlies everything we do. We want to make sure that, for instance, if somebody has to now start going into work as the economy opens up, they choose transit because they know we are a safe alternative to an automobile. We've been doing everything from using foggers that immediately disinfect the vehicles to making sure we have germ barriers to protect our drivers on the buses. We're putting those in as we speak, and we'll have the fleet done by the end of August. We are making sure that everybody's wearing a mask. If you're going to choose transit, you're going to wear a mask. And so if you don't have one, we'll provide one for you to use as well.
I want to ask you about your fare enforcement policies. This has been under scrutiny a little bit, or more recently, the Voice of San Diego has reported on a big surge in fare citations that have been issued over the past couple of years, how sometimes those, failing to pay a $2.50 fare can spiral into hundreds of dollars in fines and court fees and things like that. What does that tell you? Does this concern you? And what will fare enforcement look like under your leadership?
So we've already begun working with the board of directors, and through our public security committee, our chair, Monica Montgomery, has really helped us drive forward a couple of new policies. One of them is a diversion program that will start in September. What this will do is it allows people a chance to, first, if you are approached and you don't have a fare on board trolley, we're going to allow you to buy your fare. But then if you can't, then you can expunge the potential citation, and you have 120 days to do so. So the diversion program is intended for those who, for whatever reason, couldn't pay for their fare or didn't pay for their fare, but that they could avoid having to go through any kind of procedure, administrative or otherwise. This I think will be a really helpful for those who feel like they've been somehow being harmed by the way we were doing fare enforcement.
Your predecessor, Paul Jablonski, passed away really suddenly in May, and you had worked with him for many years. What did you learn from him?
Well, I learned a lot about transit, obviously. I wasn't in transit before I started here at MTS. But I learned a lot about the nuts and bolts. But I think more than that, I think I learned the value of team building and really understanding that it's not just one person, it's everybody pulling together to become the most effective, excellent transportation system that we possibly could be. So that's what I learned from him, and I'm hopeful to bring that forward in my own leadership.
All right, well, Sharon Cooney, thank you so much for speaking with KPBS.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.